brand new installation of Tenable.ot. Once you've done the first time setup wizard and given the system an IP address, when you go to sign in, it's going to ask you for license activation. You will have received either from a sales engineer or through email if you're a customer, a 20-digit activation code that you're able to click on enter license code and provide that license activation code here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our activation code from our provisioning portal. To get there, we go to provisioning.tenable.com and we sign in with our community account. If you don't have a community account, your customer success manager should be able to help you acquire one or set up a new account. Once signed into the Tenable provisioning portal, you'll have different areas or tabs for the different products that you have licenses for. And as we can see here, we do have one parent license for Tenable.ot. So we can choose to copy that and use that right away within Tenable.ot. And when we verify or save that information, it's going to give us the ability to generate information that our provisioning portal needs to create a new site. And we'll go ahead and go through that process now. So we have our existing sites. We can see that we have 5,000 licenses total, and we've only used or utilized 650 of them. So we're going to create a new site for this location. We're going to give it a name appropriate for where it is. We're going to assign how many IP addresses belong to that license. And this can be adjusted later if we don't have the right size and we stand it up and let's say we need more licenses. And we provide what we pulled from Tenable.ot in this activation certificate into the area down below, and we click on create. It's going to come back and it's going to give us an activation chunk of text here, and we can click this copy button, take this over to Tenable.ot, and we provide that what we just copied to the last step of activation to activate the system. So now the system is successfully activated and is ready to be enabled. We can come back to the provisioning portal and say, I have copied this over to Tenable.ot and activated it. And then now we'll see our new site in the list here. That is the flow for activating a site for the first time. Now, I want to take us through the example of dealing with an existing site that has a license that is not quite large enough to accommodate growth or might be over exceeding its license. So we'll start off with our Tenable.ot site that is experiencing problems at the moment because it's at 96% utilization. Well, we want to increase that license so we're not quite so close to the edge. And there's some information that we want to gather first to make sure that we're working from the right license. When we hit our username drop down in the corner here and click About, it will give us some basic details about the system. But important to note is the computer ID. That is the system fingerprint for how it will appear in the provisioning portal. So now that we know the system fingerprint starts with F6GQ, we should be able to quickly identify that. Another way that we could identify that is if we do good naming conventions on the actual Tenable.ot device, and we see that the system is tagged as the Columbia warehouse. So if we go to our provisioning portal, we sign in with our community account. The primary contact on the account is the one that needs to sign in to be able to make changes to sites, to be able to change the licenses or license or delete existing sites. We're going to drill into our parent license where we can see that Columbia Warehouse is one of our sites that we have, and it has a license for 400 assets. If we go back to Tenable.ot, we can verify that it is in fact at 400, and it's only seeing 300, or it's seeing 386 devices in this case. So we're going to adjust this license to 500. So what we need to do is within the provisioning portal, we're going to hit the drop down for that site, and we're going to do edit site. We're going to change the IP count from 400 to 500. You can do so with the slider here as well, and the slider is going to give you an idea of how many total assets you have remaining in that license. So now that we've set this to 500, we need to collect information from Tenable.ot, and because the license code isn't changing, that is staying the same, we can do update. It will give us that first certificate of information that we want to take over to the provisioning portal. We're going to share that information here and click on submit. It has given us back its response, like challenge and response, and we're going to give that information to Tenable.ot. Now, the system has, as you can see, the appropriate size license. And when we refresh our screen, our error message around over licensing or overutilization has now disappeared. We're at 77% utilization, and if we need to, we can downsize or change that again as needed, right from the provisioning portal.